very good day. Then answer the questions raised by the teacher. First part A. There are 2 umbilical arteries and 1 umbilical vein. Okay. The umbilical arteries are detached from the iliac arteries, and their function is to irrigate the placenta. It has nutritional, respiratory, and immunological functions. The arteries carry oxygen-deficient blood and waste productions from the fetus to the placenta. Sometimes the artery wears or fails to develop, leaving only a simple umbilical artery. A simple umbilical artery can be seen in 0.2% to 1% of pregnancies. The umbilical vein transports oxygen-rich blood and nutrition from the placenta to the fetus, between the maternal blood and the placenta or the fetus. Additionally, has immunological functions due to the presence of a family of immunoglobulins known as immunoglobulin G. B. Over 90% of blood passes delivered via the ductus venosus. It is false. The venous duct of blood, it is a little blood vessel in charge of the communication into veins. The umbilical vein, this vein in charge takes the oxygenated blood since the placenta and lower vena cava. It is responsible for coagulating the deoxygenated blood of the lower fetus body. For the above, we can say that the purpose of venous ducts is to avoid the liver irrigation, and the answer is false. The 90% of the blood doesn't pass through the liver through the venous duct. Conversely, it avoids it, so we can conclude that the liver does important functions in the fetal stages as hematopoiesis, but its irrigation comes from a small part of oxygenated blood that comes from the placenta. It will circulate throughout the portal vein, but the rest of the blood from the umbilical vein will reach the inferior vena cava through the venous conduct. C. The foramen veil divides the left and right ventricle. The foramen veil is an opening in the wall in the arterial septum for the cardiac that during the intrauterine life allows the passage of blood from the right atrium to the left atrium. Normally, this opening closes a few hours after birth. When the lungs start functioning, the pulmonary pressure decreases and the pressure of the left atrium exceeds the pressure of the right atrium. This causes the approach of the septum primum against the septum secundum. Due to closing the foramen veil when both septa merge, the left receipt of the foramen veil carries the oval fossa. D. The umbilical artery carries oxygenated blood from the placenta to the fetus. Yes. Why? Oxygenated blood travels from the placenta to the fetus here by way of the umbilical vein. The hair structure of the fetus differs from the normal placental hair in that there is an opening in the atrial septum called the foramen veil. This allows most of the blood that enters the right atrium to flow into the left atrium instead off into the right ventricle. From the left atrium, the oxygenated blood is pumped into the left ventricle and into the aorta, which carries blood with the highest oxygen content to the brain, whereas blood to the lower body tissues with a lower oxygen saturation is supplied by the Ductus arterius from the it returns to the placenta via the umbilical arteries. E. The foramen valve allows oxygenated blood to bypass the pulmonary circulation. Indeed, the foramen valve does allow the oxygenated blood flows go from the right to the left atrium. The foramen valve is converted by a valve that allows blood flow from right to left atrium. This happens because it will keep the blood from going throughout the lungs. Most of the blood will pass through the foramen valve, but some percentage reaches the ventricle and it goes through the pulmonary trunk, where thanks to the Ductus Arteriosus, I will prevent the blood from getting into the lungs. The pressure of the systemic circulation is lower than the pulmonary circulation, where at the moment that the legs start functioning, the pulmonary pressure decreases, and the systemic circulation increases the pressure of the left atrium, squaring the pressure rate of the right atrium. The causes the approach of the septum pinum against the septum secundary. They say the blood will not get into the pulmonary circulation because it doesn't need to be oxygenated due that the blood is already oxygenated. Second part. A. The oxygen dissociated curve of fetal hemoglobin is shelved to the left compared with adult hemoglobin enduring oxygen delivery to the fetus display low oxygen fracture pressures. The hemoglobin of the red blood cells of the fetus has a greater affinity for oxygen, even with very low values of oxygen blood pressure, which is why it is very saturated with oxygen. The dissociation curve of fetal oxyhemoglobin is displayed to the left with respect to the of the mother. The lower concentrations of 2,3 phosphoglycerate 2,3 DPG in the fetal erythrocytes determines less dissociation of the hemoglobin, being able to transport more oxygen. It means that it will not be affected by battered pieces of oxygen since hemoglobin is more saturated. B. It is the presence of the Ductus arterius and large pulmonary vascular resistance which ensures most of the right ventricular space into the aorta. The Ductus arteriosus is a wide muscular vessel connecting the pulmonary arteries through to the distinct aorta. Fetal circulation is characterized by low systemic vascular resistance with high systemic blood flow and high pulmonary vascular resistance with low pulmonary blood flow, with the placenta rather than the lungs being the organ of gas change. Most of the right ventricular lobes is diverted throughout the patent ductus arterius to the systemic circulation. The pressure in the pulmonary effect is the greatest that is the aorta, which facilitates the passage of the blood of the pulmonary artery to the aorta through the ductus arteriosus. C. The patency of the ductus arterius is maintained by high oxygen tensions. The Ductus Arteriosus maintains 18% of the cardiac output in the fetus, while the fetus is not born. The Ductus Arteriosus is permeable and the time of bleeding closes. The closure comes in the increase of the arterial pressure of oxygen. It is not closed by there is no change in oxygen pressure. Another mechanism is the screening the formation of endothelin, since it is the potent vasoconstrictor. Another factor for the close of the duct is in the screen in pressure within the duct lumen to the increase in pulmonary vascular resistance. The second piece is anatomical type. It was happened that later is due to increase in hyaluronic acid by endothelial cells, which does not allow a progressive thickening by meiotic stain. The node was contrary and now generate ischemia is the middle layer, which causes the reclose because the nodes include the vessel. The pateness of the Ductus Arteriosus is mediated by the vasodilating effects to prostaglandin 2. The responsibility for permeability in the placental fetus circulation of the arterial duct will be prostaglandin E2. This will be its function, influencing vasodilatory effects that corresponds to the patency of the Ductus Arteriosus, although in the same development as the night as has vasodilatory effects. It is already the relationship of the Ductus Arteriosus of the pulmonary circuit depends on the prostaglandin I2. It is important to note that inscribed in the reclivity of the Ductus Arteriosus in the uterine trimester made is vulnerable to prostaglandin inhibitors. When the cause of vasoconstrictor generates concretes here factor E. 2,3 TPG levels are higher in fetal hemoglobin compared with adult hemoglobin. No, it is no, because hemoglobin in the adult has a structure composed of 2 alpha and beta dimers, the latter being absent in the fetal hemoglobin, being essential of the union of the 2,3 TPG molecule to it, especially in desoxygenated state. So we say that its molecule 2,3 TPG will have higher levels in adult hemoglobin. On the other hand, fetal hemoglobin has gamma dimers that will not have as much affinity of 2,3 TPG, but will be more asking to before fetal hemoglobin will have lower levels to 3 TPG. Third part. A fall in pulmonary vascular resistance. In the fetal state, the resilience of the blood vessels that irrigate the lungs are high because they are submitted to composed by the lungs, which in this state have a reduced volume. With the first breath, the pulmonary blood vessels suffer a vasodilation. In this way, the resistance to blood flow that passes through the lungs is diminished. The rapid decreasing pulmonary artery pressure and the pressure of the right atrium and right ventricle pulmonary vascular resistance is reduced by 5. B. A rise in systemic vascular resistance with a clamping of the cord. The result of the clamping of the umbilical cord is the closing of the umbilical vessels. This is the beginning of the elimination of the placenta, which will increase the resistance of the systemic circulatory system by double, increasing the arterial pressure, and in the atria, right and left. This produces that first pulmonary ventilation, decreasing pulmonary resistance and inhibiting the swelling of the foramen veil and this arterios venous ducts. C. And increasing and hypoxis pulmonary vasoconstriction. Appear with the first pulmonary ventilation, the oxygen pressure increases, causing it to expel a vasodilator function in blood vessels of the lungs that they were composed by this in fetal life. Additionally, the highest resistance in the blood vessels gradually decreases, allowing the passage of blood throughout the lungs, along with the decreasing of pulmonary arterial pressure. The right atrium and right ventricle are the increasing in the pressure of the left atrium, contributing to the closing of the Ductus arterius and the foramen veil. D. A rise in left atrial pressure. The clamping of the umbilical cord, what is going to produce cessation of the circulation of the blood by the umbilical vessels, that is to the two arteries and the umbilical vein. When the blood does not circulate throughout the veins, it closes them. The first event that takes place is, with the elimination of the placenta, the increase in the resistance of the systemic circulatory system, which almost doubles since it was an organ that had low resistance to the passage of blood. As a consequence, blood pressure increases, as does the pressure in the atrium and left ventricle, thus increasing the heart's discharge immediately after pulmonary ventriculation occurs. E. Closures of the Ductus arterius within 24 hours. It is an anastomosis of the pulmonary artery with the aorta, because oxygenated blood that is transmitted of the mother must arrive directed to this minuted to the different organs. The physical close of the will be from the first 24 hours until 72 hours due to the direct contact of the lungs and the functionality so that the blood is oxygenated, because now it does not depend of the mother. The anatomical close consists of the fibrosis of said arterial passage, which will occur in the second or the week of birth, becoming in the ligaments arteriosus. Fourth part. A. Ventricular septal defect. It is fails. A ventricular septal defect, it is a deficit in the wall between the two lower chambers of the heart. A septal defect is commonly referred to as hole in the heart. Normally, the right side of the heart receives blood in the little oxygen and pumps into the lungs, where it fills with oxygen. The blood is then sent back to the left side of the heart, which pumps blood with the high oxygen content to the rest of the body, but with the PSD, the heart pumps inefficiently but blood with a high oxygen content is put back into the lungs. Ventricular septal defects occur when the division process doesn't occur completely and there is an opening in the ventricular septum. Some congenital heart defects may have a genetic line that causes hair problems that occur more frequently in female ladies. For example, Down syndrome. Most interventricular communications occur by chance with no obvious reason for them to develop. B. Atrial septal defect. False. An atrial septal defect allows freshly oxygenated blood to flow from the left upper chamber to the right upper chamber of the heart. The rhythm mixes with the deoxygenated blood and is pumped into the lungs even though oxygen has already been replaced. If the interventricular communication is large, thus extra volume, blood can overload the lungs and cause the right side of the heart overwork. If left untreated over time, the right side of the heart loss and wakes. If the process continues, it can also increase blood pressure in the lungs, which causes pulmonary hypertension. C. Patent Ductus Arteriosus. The patent Ductus Arteriosus occurs when the Ductus Arteriosus doesn't close properly after bite. This failure leads to increased flow to the pulmonary circulation and a volumetric overload in the atrium and left ventricle that leads of several problems such as hypertension, pulmonary, and edema. However, all this depends on the caliber of the Ductus Arteriosus, and that when it is less than 3.5 doesn't show symptoms, while a large caliber to moderate is greater than 3.5, ranging from dyspnea and tachycardia, address even respiratory infections to remedy this anomaly. Offer the use of intravenous NSAID. It's used to reduce the problem in most cases without creating complications. If the problem is correct with the use of drugs and this doesn't present hemodynamic instability and pulmonary hypertension, percutaneous close with a cold device of only less than 3.5 with a buzzer of the gas greater than 3.5 if the over is present, clinical close is necessary. D. Tetralogy of Fallot. Tetralogy of Fallot is a condition that brings together the various congenitals that are due to abdominal development of the heart during the 8 weeks of pregnancy. In the tetralogy of Fallot, the blood flow within the heart, time, medium, degree, extent, the size of the ventricular septal defect, and the severity of the obstruction in the right ventricle. The tetralogy of Fallot can also occur apart to Down syndrome in this George syndrome. This defect is frequently prominent in a fetus. The tetral Fallot consists of the following defects of the heart is the blood vessels. 1. Ventricular septal defect, a hole in the wall between the two ventricles of the heart. 2. Narrowing of the pulmonary valve and the main pulmonary artery. This condition is also called pulmonary stenosis and pulmonary difficulty. 3. Aortic cupping. The aortic valve is larger than normal and aims to open from both ventricles. That is, it is located above the ventricular septal defect and not used in the left ventricle as a normal heart. 4. Hypertrophy of the right ventricle. The reduction of the right ventricle becomes faster and more muscular due to the fact that it needs to contract with more force to overcome the resistance caused by the pulmonary valve stenosis. E. Transposition of the great arteries. Transposition of the great arteries is a congenital here defect due to a normal development of the fetal hair during of the first 8 weeks of a pregnancy. The large vessels that carry blood from the hair of the lungs and to the body are improperly connected. Essentially, the connectings is to hair are swept. Normally, oxygen for blood returns to the right atrium from the body travels to the right ventricle. There is the pumping throughout the pulmonary artery into the lungs where it receives oxygen. Oxygen rises, blood returns to the left atrium from the lungs, passes into the left ventricle and is pumped throughout the aorta of the body. In transportation of the great arteries, the aorta is connected to the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery is connected to left ventricle, the opposite of a normal hair's anatomy. The circulator of transporting of the arteries is desoxygenated. Blood returns to the right atrium from the body, passes throughout the right atrium and ventricle, and then it goes into the misconnected aorta back to the body, sending deoxygenated blood to the body. Oxygenated blood returns to the left atrium from the lungs, passes through the left atrium and ventricle, and then goes into the pulmonary artery where thanks to the TGA it goes back to the lungs. Other ear defects are often associated with a TGA, and they actually may be necessary for an infant with transportation of the great arteries to life. An opening in the arterial of ventricular septum will allow blood from one side to mix with blood from another, creating purple blood with oxygen level somewhere in between that of oxygen full and the oxygen-rich blood. Patent Ductus Arteriosus will also allow mixing of oxygen and oxygen-rich blood through the connection between aorta and pulmonary artery. The purple blood that results from this mixing is beneficial, bringing at last some oxygen to the body, if not a normal amount of oxygen. Because of the low amount of oxygen provided to the body, TGA is one of the hair problems called blue baby syndrome. Thanks.